And when it pops back, it'll just be Nick and Jason on the screen.
Hi, I'm Jason Rosen, creator of Monsterwood and owner of Skinwalker Studios, and this is
Splash Pages, and I'm Nick Efstathiou, writer for Monsterwood. So here we are. We're keeping our clothes on.
at all times.
Is the one obvious thing.
What's wrong with him? His girl just broke it off.
It's her father. He doesn't want her dating a zombie.
Why? What are they, demons?
She is predeceased.
An outsider?
Mm-hmm.
Man, you're asking for trouble.
She broke my heart.
You're a zombie. Technically, you don't even have a heart.
After all of the great cinema that we brought to the world, and we still get no respect.
I don't know why he doesn't like me. I'm responsible. A full-time job.
You work at a haunted house in October.
I'm trying to be healthy. She's a vegan, so...
Wait, you're giving up meat?
Oh, come on.
What are you gonna do? Attack a farmer's market to try to impress her?
Now, if he was a vampire, you'd have a much better chance with her death.
Yeah, those pretty bastards.
I didn't think this would be that hard.
Hard? Man, I'm a zombie and I'm black.
Oh, here we go.
I blame the educational system.
I blame the media.
I blame George Romero.
Oh. How could you be so disrespectful?
Coffee?
Zombies don't know much, but they do know good coffee. Deadly Grounds. It's coffee to die for, and zombie approved.
Who's George Romero?
Just have some coffee.
Hey, happy Tuesday, everybody. You are watching Splash Pages. My name is Leo. I'm the monkey behind the keyboard here. We have an amazing show scheduled for you, as always. And we'll kick it on over to Carrie. How's it going?
Hey, it's going really good, Leo. Happy Tuesday, everybody. Hello, Dylan. Nice to have you with us tonight. I'm really excited about tonight's show. Finished the book that we're reading, and it was fun. I'm having a sleep study tonight, so I'm hoping that I will be dreaming of hanging out in Monsterwood. So, yeah. Let's see what Jar's doing. Yeah. Where do you go? There he is.
I thought I'd go last tonight.
Oh, do you go last? Well, I don't see Drew.
Drew. Oh, we don't see. Oh, so okay.
What happened? Joe, are we here? Oh, hi. Hello, everyone. I'm Drew. Thank you for joining us. We have a great show. I also enjoyed Monsterwood. And That's all I have to say because I'm still recollecting my faculties. But while I do that, Jar, what's going on, buddy?
Hey, Drew. I'm glad you asked. Tonight, we're diving into the dark fantasy world of Monsterwood, as everybody's already said. We're joined by the creator and writer, Jason Rosen, a storyteller with a background in film and practical creature effects, who's brought his passion for monsters and world building into comics through his work with Skinwalker Studios. Also with us is Nick Efstathiou. I hope I said that close to right. Efstathiou, co-writer of the series, who helped shape the story and bring the world of Monsterwood to life. Together, they crafted a rich fantasy saga blending classic themes with a modern edge. Jason, Nick, welcome to the show. I'm sorry if I murdered the name. I'm a name murderer.
And you practiced it before the show, Jar Jar.
I know.
You know what it is? He got in his head. He doubted himself. Listen, Star Wars, man, trust your instincts. You know what is true. I don't know why I said like Palpatine. I was trying to go for Yoda. Also, Nick, are you in a rocking chair?
I am. That's where you're going to see me going.
Yeah, because I was like, is that dramatic tension? Or is it? Oh no, he is chilling.
I'm in a rocking chair because I have like crazy ADHD and I got to keep moving.
Okay.
Or else I'm just going to pop right out of the screen and go to my Lego.
Yeah, also
it's very Freddy of you. Welcome to prime time, bitch. Got it. Okay, good.
You're in good company.
Yeah. No, it's amazing we get a show done. There's a lot of energy here. I feel
that.
With the creative people that I know, it's like raise your hand if you don't have ADHD.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
But it's you can look at it as a blessing or a curse. You know what I mean? It's like if I have to be in a room in a meeting that I'm not interested in, it's hard for me to keep my mind in the room. But I can focus on Monsterwood for days on end. You know what I mean? So it really is a superpower. And as far as like it's like also called random abstract thinking, which is a type of intelligence. It's why we're good at coming up with, world building or writing or whatever.
Yeah, I'm going to go with that. But I've always said that I was given ADD, so I would never try cocaine. So that's how I always saw it, because I'm already away. Like these three can attest. At a convention, I am that proverbial speedster in a candy shop. It's just a lot of, like, I feel bad for Carrie because she has to keep up with like me dragging Jar, and then Leo's like, I'm gonna be at home base. Leo's the guy, and I was like, I'm gonna be at home base. You guys just do check-ins. Let me just make sure you're alive.
I'm 5'5", and he will just grab me and we just go. And I'm like, like falling behind, knocking people over and shit. I'm just like in his wake as we're running through things.
And even Jar, who's technically taller than I am, I'm 6'2". He's like, Jar is like 6'5", 6'7".
6'4".
6'4". All right, so you're at least a little taller than me. Even Jar has trouble keeping up. He was like, do you take 7 steps at a time? I'm like, yes, we have to go somewhere. We've got to do this interview. Like, why aren't you guys moving faster? And Carrie's like, I am but so small. This is like Harry keeping up with Hagrid right now. Every 3 steps to his 1. So you need to slow the fuck down or just drag me like my name is Hobbs. And I was like, that's fair.
Yeah, I have a really heavy purse too, so I like I'm like trying to keep it. I've learned not to carry it with me when I go onto the floor anymore because I was
a lot
just
of disgruntled nerds. They're like,
oh god, yeah, I was just side blinding people. Like little children are just like falling down, and it was horrible.
We got a warning, but we didn't get past getting thrown out of the game. So Well, gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us, as Jar eloquently put before he messed up the ending. Respectfully, dude, you'll get it next time. But thank you for joining us. Like I just need to say for the record, I myself, I'm not the greatest fantasy fan. Like Carrie and Jar and Leo know this. For some reason, fantasy, it's just, I'm like, but I very much enjoyed what you guys had created. It moved very nicely. The characters were very, very real. There was some magic, but there wasn't too much magic. Right. Like, and it's funny, to me, I just want to just say before we get into some background stuff, it kind of gave me kind of like Eyes of the Dragon kind of vibe, you know, very
See
just
that?
smart. Like I always kind of look at this like, this is very smart fantasy. It's very much the relations, the back and forth. Everybody sucks in a way. Everyone has an agenda.
Yep.
You know, I was like, wow, this is like moving very nicely. And then I was like, oh, okay, then there's that looks like an orc. I don't know what that T-Rex looking thing is over there. You know, that has wings.
Mid lady.
The guard monster.
But my question is, in the possible book 3, is there other torture besides eye gouging? I feel like that's the go-to every time.
Yeah.
Like literally, I don't like your face. One eye.
Oh
like,
yeah, that
good
was
Lord.
like, yeah, you're now one eye.
Yeah, there's a lot of eye gouging.
So I'm gonna take fall for that because it is literally such a go-to, and it is a really easy torture.
Okay.
I try not to have torture done like, how do I say it? Like it
The
doesn't.
Spanish Inquisition.
Yeah, it doesn't need to be crazy. It doesn't need to be all in depth because simple is painful, right?
No,
Yeah.
no
punch
Judas
the
chairs
eye
for you.
quick.
No, I mean,
Well, also because of the audience that we're trying to be like young adult on up. So it's like you don't want to be too gratuitous. It's like I'm certainly not opposed to gore, but it has to be contextual. And it also just seemed incredibly appropriate for the character because he doesn't really have to break a sweat to mortally wound somebody. And it does seem to be his go-to.
Anytime he flexed, I'm like, uh-oh, someone's going to lose an eye. I'm like, it's going to be very dramatic.
And it's just so easy. You just put the thumb in and just scoop.
Bam.
You know?
And who doesn't have like sensitivity about the eye? You know, ever since I watched Lucio Fulci's, zombie with the splinter of wood going closer to the woman's eye, it's like, it's unbearable to just the thought of it. So
yeah, just no, why?
Oh
God, why?
I was. This goes into.
Oh no, I was just gonna say Wendell really deserved it.
But I like him still.
Yeah, Carrie said, and I quote before the show, she was like, if we ever did a live read of this, I would do Wendell. I have like the perfect Wendell voice. And I'm just like, that's your first move. You're going to go with the frogman who loses an eye. So you want an eye patch. You want like the frog version of Snake Plissken going.
Oh, look at this. Fine. We've got toys.
Oh, Leo's.
That was the maquette.
Oh my God.
Oh,
that's wow. That looks oddly terrifying.
Yeah, he's creepy. I mean, he's definitely the street rat that he is in the book.
Okay. One question I did have about the book, like, did you guys take some inspiration from, like, I don't know why, but I like in the beginning seeing their interest, I was like, is this some Aladdin level shit? Like, these two unlikely kids, whatnot. Like it felt a little Aladdin-y. No, like not like in the romance, like, but just like, oh, you have this kind of street rat, and then you have this princess, and of course, instead of, oh, hey, I get trapped by the guards, I'm gonna jump on her boat. I was like, okay, bold move, jumping on the boat to get out of the city, and then we don't get along, and I was just like, boy, that third act's gonna be great.
So, I mean, it's being the old timing man that I am now. I'm 56, so I grew up on all the great stuff from the 60s and 70s and 80s. So that kind of informed my sense of story or what I like in a story.
Okay.
And it's kind of weird that Monsterwood became what it was and became this fantasy thing because I enjoy fantasy, but I'm not like, I don't consider myself like a super fantasy guy or anything.
Right.
It really started with the characters and then the world kind of built around that. So in a lot of ways, what I wanted to do is write something that honored all of those things that I loved because I don't really see that same type of storytelling in everything now.
Right.
So it's kind of classic and archetypical in its form. So so the challenge was, how do you tell a story that feels familiar but that's also fresh and new?
Yeah, I think you managed that.
Yeah.
I liked the way all the different characters worked out with your world building, and everything looked so amazing too. You guys grabbed some fabulous artists on this project.
Agreed. Like,
that was.
How'd you connect with oh, I'm sorry, I'm blanking on his name right now.
Chris Campa
or Chris Campana?
Both, really. Chris, I probably through the convention scene, right?
Actually, no, it was the craziest thing. So Steve and I actually, I grew up with Mike Mrak, who became art director for like Scientific American and all these like top tier like periodicals. So I had originally, actually, I was going to work with Mac Chatter, the English illustrator, who's doing like tremendous work now. And we had gone back and forth, and scheduling came up, and I really wanted to get the thing going. So out of desperation, I reached out to Mike and I said, Mike, you know, I'm ready to go on this thing, and I need an artist. So I sent him some of the material, and he looked at it and he was like, I think I know the perfect person. And he sent me, you know, Steve's work, and I was like, yes, this is great. So, you know, Steve at the time was doing a lot of work for games and work for comics. And then, you know, it's like trying to get somebody to work on an indie book while they're working for the majors. It's a challenge for them because, you know, it's the schedule, and, you know, they have kind of unrealistic deadlines and things like that. So to try to be like, let's squeeze my book in there too. It was difficult. So the first two books were done by Steve. And then we did the Kickstarter for the third one. And Steve was on board, and then a whole bunch of stuff changed with Steve's schedule. I waited for like a year, and then Steve was like, I just don't know when I'm going to be able to get to it. And I totally understood. I mean, Steve and I are still great friends, but then I became panicked because I'm like, okay, I've established a look in these two books. It's the third chapter. It's like having someone direct the third reel of a film, you know? So I was really worried. So I started looking for artists, and I was just scoring the internet, looking at all the comic groups, looking at ArtStation, asking people. And I came across Chris's work. And actually, it wasn't his stuff that he was doing for the majors. It was his indie stuff, like
First World
and Parker Reef. So when I saw his fantasy stuff, I was like, wow, this is like so in the wheelhouse of what Monsterwood done, to the point where when we did the omnibus, the editor from Outland Entertainment was like, oh, do you mind if I like go through and just see if we want to edit anything? And I said, sure, go ahead. So when we were having the follow-up conversation, I said, well, you know, when Steve couldn't do the third book and Chris jumped on, she was like, wait a minute. She goes, somebody else did the third book? And I said, yeah. So she's like, I've read this thing like 10 times. She goes, and I didn't notice the switch. So that's when I knew it's like, okay, this will actually work. So Steve is actually in Ireland now, getting his master's in animation. So Steve will be back for the fourth book, but we'll get to that later. In the conversation, I think.
Well, there goes that question.
Yeah. There was a question from Reddit that was basically like, what was it like with transitioning artists and stuff? And
basically answered it.
Yeah, there was a second part to it, though, if you don't mind me asking. It's a... Oh, where'd it go? Here we are. Jealous Goat 1899 kind of wrote a whole thing, but also was curious. And when you were talking about like doing the young adult level and stuff, and like the thumb in the eye being the torture level you were willing to go. When you're doing dark fantasy kind of stuff, what exactly did you set down as your balance between having the kind of horrific elements versus just the fantasy world building itself?
Well, if you notice, like the first book is much brighter and a little bit more innocent because we're kind of discovering that world. And then as we get more into the story and we realize what the reality of this world is, it starts to become a little bit darker. So we kind of hid the horror kind of around the corner and in the edges a little bit. And then it's becoming more prominent as we go through the series. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of the balance is going to shift a little bit. I think we're going to get into some darker material coming up for sure.
Nice. I had a question for Nick. Nick,
yeah.
I myself am somebody who has a history degree. So the fact that you work as a high school history teacher, I was like, amazing. So so two questions. One, how does your interest in history help with writing the project? Do you sometimes feel like your supervisor, like, no, they wouldn't do that. That's not time era appropriate. Are you a stickler in that regard? Are you like, no, this is fine. No one's going to care. Continuity is a matter. We're writing a book. It's cool.
Well, no, there's definitely stuff. It doesn't come up that much, but Jason's like, all right, cool. Is that what's going to happen? Right. Got it. Fine. But like in book 3, you'll notice that when the bad guys are riding, right, they are sweeping through. And we made it a point, even though it's pulled back for the viewer, you only catch just a little bit. Mm-hmm. You see the desolation, right? Because they are bad guys. Because medieval armies, which is pretty much what they are, nobody survives.
No.
Everybody dies. You hang the heads up to let everybody know this is not what you do. You stay away. So, yeah, the history is definitely with the tactics. What are we going to use?
Mm-hmm.
How is the cavalry going to come in? Are these weapons really going to be able to do this? So there's that. You got to keep some element of realism so that way they can still suspend their disbelief. Because if you have a guy with like a two-handed broadsword, he just like throws it and flings around and comes back. Like, no.
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 So everybody, that's why history is important. So stop falling asleep in that class.
Okay. Do you guys get together for power writing sessions, or is it more like online together shooting emails?
Actually, it's mostly emails. We'll have conversations, and I'll kind of tell him what I'm doing, and then I'll write my version of it, and then I'll send it over to him. And then there's certain scenes, like Nick just said, there's certain scenes where I just say, "Here, you take over this part," because I just know from his experience. And Nick, I hope I'm not talking out of school here, but Nick is also a veteran, so he has real life experiences that I just do not. And one thing that's important to us is to have emotional resonance in this. So there are certain things that I just would feel silly even trying to do when I'm co-writing with Nick. So I kind of pass those elements to him. And he's also, Nick, you have such I'll overthink things or tend to overwrite it because it's so clear in my head. And he's able to capture the essence of what I'm trying to say and simplify it down to what we need.
Oh, okay. Okay, you know what? Now I understand your dynamic. So basically, you're Aykroyd and that's Ramis. Okay. You have the wacky idea. He's like, okay, we're going to bring this back to reality and we're going to ground this a little bit. Okay, so that's, you know what? Kudos to you. No wonder it worked so well. You're the idea guy and he's the, okay, and in the real world, it goes like this.
Well, also in the writing world, I mean, I'm kind of, I feel like I have a foot in both worlds because I have a degree in dramatic arts, which has to do a lot with writing scripts and things like that, element and structure and all that good stuff. I have a degree in art, so that's where the concept design and all that stuff. I've been an artist my entire life. But, and then that dovetails so perfectly with Nick's history degree, his writing expertise, his life experience. And you were talking about fantasy before, is we wanted this to be very, even though it takes place in a non-earth-based reality, we didn't want it to be the typical swords and sandals, magic D&D stuff. And I love that stuff, but that's not what this was. So like you said, there is limited magic. There's kind of like a black magic to it. But we even there's really no magical items. Like everyone's looking for the magic, blah, 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 to have it be more character driven.
This felt more like Saga than it did Sword and Sorcery,
Yeah.
I think. And that's high praise, sir. So
Thank you.
My praise.
So like Jason said, I have a degree in English literature, and my master's is military history. So we just cram.
Boom.
That's it.
Nailed it.
That's cool shit.
And not to get too cart in front of the horse, but there's an element to the new book that we are coming up, and there was a scene in there that I just had to turn over to Nick, and I was like, this is what the scene is, and I know you can make it work, and he absolutely did. We don't want to say too much more about that, but it's amazing because the fourth book obviously is what happens after the last page of book 3, and that's really where it takes off.
yes, and I'm waiting.
Yeah,
I'm like, I'm ready. Okay.
Actually, on that idea, how far do you guys have planned? Do you know how many books that you want to go with this and where the ending's going to be? So,
I mean, the way my mind works is it's stuck in that 3-act structure. So it's going to be hopefully, God willing, and the creek don't rise, another 3 books. So what we're planning, we have the 4th book written, and Chris just started it.
Nice.
So we're super excited. I can't really say how long it will take because, I have to be patient when Marvel is like, oh, Chris, you have to do this. It's like,
Yeah.
No, I'm super proud of Chris, man. He's I've known him since before Marvel, and now I'm just like, dude, you're doing it. You're doing what you wanted to do. It's so great. All the praise to him.
And nobody is more surprised than him. You're like, you're doing so great. He's like, I know, right? What is this? Like, I thought I would just be doing fan art forever. Like, you meet him at a con, and he's just the most down to earth person about it. He's just
really is.
Like, right, Jar? And he's just like, thanks, man. I really appreciate that. Like, I had no idea this was gonna work. Like, there's a 30% chance this is gonna fail miserably. I'm like, only 30, man. You're getting good.
Talk about dedication to craft. And like you say, he is the nicest guy you'll ever meet. You know what I mean? So he's a real one. And it's funny. I didn't get to this part of the story. When I was looking for the other artist, I found Chris. I reached out to Chris. And I understand. It's like, I don't want to walk into somebody else's project 2/3 of the way through. So I counted on him being a little apprehensive. And he actually reached out to JM, and because he and JM are friends. And he was like, hey, this guy's asking me about this stuff. And he goes, oh, Monsterwood? He goes, yeah, you should totally do it. He goes, I love that book. I supported the Kickstarters. So JM actually helped me like convince Chris that it was a good thing to get involved in. And I'm so grateful. And I'm grateful that Chris is still along for the ride, And when we were talking, I said, Chris, I know you got great things and I'm so happy for you. I go, but if you do the next book, I'm like, you got to do the next 3 books. And he was like, we'll get it done. Like, no matter what happens.
All right. So I have a question for each of you, and it's basically based on your interests. So, Nick, in terms of history, what do you feel is one of the most overblown, overhyped era of history? And which one do you feel does not get the love it deserves? Like, literally, if someone's like, oh, can we talk about this? You'd be like, everyone sit down, dim the lights, I've got slides. And once it's like, oh, what about this? Like, yeah, it happened, move on.
So how many times a day do you think about Rome, Nick?
Well, I think about Rome a lot. We're not going to talk about that. That's different. So I know this is sacrosanct, but I don't care about the European theater of World War II. I don't. I don't care that D-Day happened. I don't. It's important. All of it's important. I don't want to talk about it. What I focus on is the Pacific theater of World War II.
Okay.
Holy, get in the nitty gritty of that. It's pure brutality. If you have ever seen the show The Pacific on HBO, it's just 6 episodes. It's taken from 4 books. Helmet for My Pillow, With the Old Breed at Peleliu, You'll Be Sorry, and then I can never remember the 4th one, but it's by Bergen. All those guys served in the same unit, and it's just, it's brutal. But yeah, dig in, go grab Guadalcanal by Richard Trugaskis, and yeah, it's war without mercy. There was absolutely no mercy in that theater, and people don't realize what happened. So yeah, I tell the kids at the beginning of the year, like, guys, we're not going to discuss D-Day. So go watch Band of Brothers.
Yeah, that's what go watch Saving Private Ryan. That's D-Day.
Yeah.
Go watch Fury. I mean, they're great movies.
Right.
You know?
Hacksaw Ridge. Just whatever. Watch that. I'm not talking about it. Moving on.
Yeah.
My papa was in the Navy, and he was on the USS Tulagi, and so he was in the Mediterranean Theater and the Pacific Theater. So
yeah, brutal. I mean, my grandfather.
But they don't talk about it. That generation just never speaks about what happened. It's their silent generation. But
yeah, so
that's what the movie's for, Carrie. Speaks for them.
Yeah.
So, Jason, again, looking at the bio, Wes Craven kept popping up a lot, and as a horror fan, respectfully, I just have to ask, because again, he seemed like the nicest person in the world when you see him in like behind the scenes, and then of course people working on special effects for him. What did you do, and are there any notable fun horror stories? Seeing that 3/4 of this podcast are horror fans to horror adjacent, and then there's the one person who isn't about horror but somehow keeps telling us stories of his life that could in essence be horror. Looking at you in the corner over there, could be anybody. So I just have to ask that, and then we'll move on back to Monsterwood.
So I worked on My Soul to Take, which was I think his last film, actually.
Wow.
And I have to be honest, I'm not sure that he pulled the script off. Like, it's not the greatest of his movies, for sure. He was a very just nice and graceful man. Like, I mean, what you see was how he was. He was always very calm and composed. And he was also kind of private. Like, he didn't want to, I don't blame him. It's like he's making a film, so it's not fanboy time,
Right.
So we had limited interactions. I did some puppetry on that. So, special effects puppetry, not
right.
Library. So yeah, exactly. So there was a scene where a student has a buzzard that pukes all over, a buzzard puppet that pukes all over, that he goes against his classmates with. And then there's another scene out in the woods where there's this giant puppet and his head pops off. Then we did like an ambulance scene. So just like, different various special effects gags.
Cool. Nice.
What's it like getting to, I'm assuming he's like one of your people that you look up to. What's it like getting to work for somebody like that?
Oh, I mean, it was amazing. And it's weird. Like I said, it wasn't like, it was cool to be on set and to be a part of that film, especially because it was his last film. But I didn't have like a ton of interaction with him. You know what I mean? In fact, like one time we did a take, and then he started like giving notes, and I said, "Oh," and he goes, "Oh no, you were fine." Then he was like correcting the other puppeteer, and I was like, "No, talk to me more." You know what I mean?
Please.
That's my punishment for doing a good job on the first take.
Like that, I would wear that on a T-shirt. Like, Wes Craven said, "I'm fine."
That's
what
right.
do you got? And just you just have it on the back, like, what you got. Like, you don't get, like, that's kind of the same way I felt when I met John Carpenter. It was just randomly at a convention, and I was just like, and it's just, I have this photo, and I'm just like, and he's just,
Right.
It's the best resting grump face, but he's like the nicest person in the world. He just looks like, I don't have time for your shit. Like, I'm making, like, I'm already composing my next masterpiece in my mind. So can you let me be? I need to get my dulcet tones down. I'm like, Absolutely, Mr. Carpenter. I look forward to Ghosts of Mars 2000. Thank you. Moving on. But no, I just had to bring that up just because, like, I was just talking to somebody about Wes Craven movies, and then I was like, man, the universe has got to stop doing that.
Yeah.
Like, just, you've mentioned it, and it's like, oh, this thing, and I'm like, God damn it. $1 million.
I had been on live productions before, but that was the first time I was on like a major film set.
Mm-hmm.
So I learned a lot. I mean, since then, I've produced a feature film and 2 shorts with Paul Gerard, who's
that's awesome.
The biggest concept designers out there. He's the guy that did the kind of grim, dark He-Man images that everybody's been posting over and over for years. So to work with Paul, Paul's a good friend now, but we did The Stranger, which is our feature film. And then we did a short called Exhibits. And then we did In the Dark That We Bleed. So those are fun to produce and work with them. And we worked with Mike Clark, the film director, who has a film coming out this year, Semolina Pritchard, that just debuted, I think, in England.
Does that kind of work like trickle into your storytelling of Monsterwood and stuff?
It does, in the way that my brain works, in like how to organize a scene, because I mean, to do anything, it takes a lot of time and there's a lot of moving pieces, and it helps to have like the best co-writer in the world. So even though it's daunting, it's a process that we both know. So it's, neither one of us is in a rush, because you can't be, if you want to do it. But yeah, it's, I think they both kind of inform each other, because again, it boils down to storytelling.
Right.
And the images that you're trying to capture, there's no difference between framing something for camera and framing it for a panel, right? It's like you're selecting that piece of reality that you want the audience to focus on.
We've learned about the 180-degree rule thing and stuff from some of our folks. Were you done, Drew, or did you have more?
Oh, no. I was just taking a breath. You can go.
Okay.
I just pop in the chest just to look imposing. I was like, okay, go.
I wanted to ask about working with Outland Entertainment, because we've had Colin Budd on the show a number of times, and he works with Outland, and I've gone to their tables and stuff at conventions, and they do a lot of they do the storytelling, and they'll do things where you have a novel is out and a comic is out, and it's also based on a game, so you can get all of these kind of things together. They do role-playing games of a lot of their works. Is there any talk? Have you guys chatted with them at all about maybe getting some sort of a game going together with us? Or
yeah, I need to catch up with Jeremy. It's been a while since we've talked, but
Nick's laughing like
he knows something.
So yeah, we're waiting to hear from Jeremy, but the plan is to do a game.
Awesome.
And yeah, I mean, come on, they're like Monsterwood miniatures. Hello.
Oh, right. So cool.
Monsterwood 5e, like absolutely. So there's some talk about that. It's a little too early to really talk about that material, but we're really looking to move on some 5e stuff. I can say.
Nice.
That's awesome.
Well, congratulations.
That's a great company to be with.
And Nick is definitely going to work with me on a novel, which is going to be different because, anytime you jump media platforms, like I don't want the same, you know what I mean? Like if I listen to the album and I go see somebody live, I don't want to hear it note for note like it is on the album. What's the point of seeing it live? So if we go from graphic novel to novel, with a novel, obviously, I mean, Nick can speak better to it, but you can hear the internal dialogue of a comic that you can't really do in the same way in a comic. I mean, you can have thought bubbles and stuff like that, but it's not the same. So you're going to see the story, but from totally different perspectives. So it will deepen the reader's experience.
Nice. Yeah, I love the way they platform everything, where they do have multimedia sources and things, because I think it's great for good storytellers, because it allows you guys to tell your story in so many different ways, and then for us to interact with it. They're just a great company.
No, they are.
When I saw that, I was just like, oh, Nice.
They have some amazing work. You know what I mean? Like but it's hard, like to just get word out and let folks know that you're out here. Because you go to the shows. If you go to New York Comic-Con, it's like the main floor. It's just all the majors, and then you're pushed off to the side. So it's like, how do you stick out in a room like that? I mean, I think
your booth usually sticks out.
Yeah, well, I'm obnoxious. I have a big obnoxious booth, so
I love it. I think it looks so cool. It catches your eye from a good half block away.
But it's it doesn't travel that easy. I can't imagine trying to bring that into New York.
It's easier than you think, but I think it's maintaining it for 3 days, and then you have the variety of like the same kind of energy on Friday is not the same on Saturday. And then by Sunday you're just so exhausted. You're like, the book, it's fantasy and horror, and
I don't know.
I helped write it.
Until like
take a bookmark
on the Sunday, and like then I finally hit the wall. But until then, I'm like, like you were saying, it's like 90 miles an hour with your hair on fire. Well, if I had hair.
Well, hey, listen,
got all the
good.
hair.
We can't all have
Whole
luscious
episode.
locks like someone in this room.
Damn you, Carrie.
Damn you, Carrie. Okay, well, Leo, did you have anything? Because again, buddy, I like to do this little pause every once in a while to let you talk.
I was going to say something earlier, but you rolled right over.
You know what? I don't want to hear it. You can speak up. You have a voice. I know how to shut it down. Don't give me that.
Thank you, Carrie.
You're welcome.
Jerks. Just try. You know what? Next time, I'm not even. I'm gonna just.
Oh Jesus.
Okay, Leo, you were saying?
Yeah, love it. Is it bad that while I was reading it, like Wendell in my head was voiced by a Ferengi from Star Trek?
Wow.
I'm still wondering what Carrie's voice for Wendell.
Oh my God! Yeah, Carrie, do it.
I gotta scroll up. Tori's talking. Hold on.
Yeah, she has to read it to channel it.
Yeah. Oh, where is he?
Carrie, wait, Leo, who did you say you thought it was the voice of Wendell?
A Ferengi.
A Ferengi.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I was like, who the fuck? I'm like, oh, okay. All right, Carrie.
Oh. I would tell them, for free. It's not. They paid for 2, not 3. They paid for the damn blue boy with wings. They go to Monsterwood. It is not Wendell's fault. Oh, stupid boy's fault. Stupid boy. Stupid blue boy. That's my Wendell.
That's Ferengi-ish.
That's Ferengi-ish.
Yeah, who I really thought I'm spacing his name now. Who is the killer from M? Remember the movie M?
Oh yeah. What? Peter Lorre?
Yes. So I kind of thought of like a Peter Lorre voice.
It kind of
not too far off, Gary. It's a little higher.
Like from Casablanca.
Yeah. Oh yes, Nick.
Hi, Nick.
Oh God, Rick. It's oh, don't throw me away. Oh my God, stop.
Somewhere in
Stick
between
my neck
Peter
out
Lorre
your
and
nose.
Carrie's voice, that's Wendell's voice.
I got a higher register going here, so
Just a little bit, Carrie.
And I know Jar Jar brought it up earlier, but the dinosaur, the 6-eyed, was it 6 eyes? That came out of nowhere. That was pretty badass. But going into book 4, what are some types of creatures, or even books ahead that you would like to bring in?
So I think what do you think, Nick? Who should we tease here?
The Sphinx, clearly.
So, yes. So, 2 that I would like to see more of, right? The Northman, right? His people. Obviously, he has some anger issues, and I'd like to think that's a character trait rather than a default. And I would like to see more military from the Zumari, right? Because they have been enforcing Tiberius's rule for 10 years, and it's just like, yeah, let's see it. Why were they so competent? What could they do? They're obviously not going to be destroyed by a bunch of rebels. They fall back, they regroup, and it's time to move on. So that's what I want for people, not necessarily creatures. Because otherwise, creatures, it's just like, yeah, let's get somebody eaten. Let's go. It's lunchtime.
Word.
So we have that, but we're gonna, like I said before, it's like we're getting a little darker with this book. And let me think how I can say it without giving too much away. So the big baddie in the first three is Tiberius, right? Yeah. So at the end, those who have read it know where Tiberius ends up, literally on the last page, right? Mm-hmm. So in order to, Tiberius is communing with what he calls the council, the little council worms.
Yep.
You can see his face on there. Nice. So he has his, his undead ectoplasmic little council that he confers with, and then something goes horribly wrong at the end. So clearly he's communing with some dark forces here. So the deal that he made, Tiberius is no longer in the world of Magog, and he hasn't really shown up through the hell vent yet. So where is he? So the entity who he's made that deal with, or someone who works for that entity, comes to collect. So his name is actually the Debt Collector.
Nice.
I can give a quick tease. So this is a very weird character that I had in my mind, and I worked with my friend Paul Komoda. I don't know if you know Paul Komoda. He's amazing. He's just he could do 2D. He can do 3D. He sculpts for Acro out of Japan. He sculpts for a Sideshow. He's worked. He designed a lot of Kong Skull Island. So we have the Debt Collector in this book. And this is, I can give you a quick flash of, that's Chris's first drawing.
Oh wow, that looks freaking terrifying.
Yeah. And this is kind of when he, I guess for lack of a better term, when he unfurls. So when he shows up, he would just look like a man in a cloak. But he's anything but. So that's that'll be our new big baddie, and I can't wait to introduce everybody to him.
Awesome.
So, and this it took me so long to get the first 3 books done and published and out into the world, and then the omnibus really helped, give it to more people. This is the first new material that Nick and I have really written, together. So I'm excited to roll this stuff out for sure.
Nice.
Oh yeah,
I'm excited to read it.
Are you planning to go the Kickstarter route again?
Yes, out of necessity. I mean, these books, you've all seen the books. Jeremy, you remember when I started 10 years ago when we first met.
I have it right over there.
Yeah, it started, first book, second book, third book, but they're all hardcover, spot embossment. They're stitched and all that stuff. So they're not cheap books to make. So, but I also know that
hardcovers.
Yes.
Jeremy showing up the swag.
So they're not cheap books to produce. So that's where the crowd helps. So right now what I'm doing, because I realize the world has changed, I'm not really backing too many campaigns that are asking me to wait a year or 2 years. You know what I mean? So I'm not going to roll the dice on that. So the plan is to finish the book and have it ready to go to print, and then I'll do the Kickstarter, because then people have to wait a couple of months as opposed to, a year or longer.
You know what?
Our resident Kickstarter person, you should definitely, do you do the interview, Carrie, or is it more?
I do both. I just set up an interview for next Saturday, actually. I put together the crowdfunding when things are on Kickstarter. If the people have time, and I have time, I'll sit down and do a quick interview. We'll just go over just the Kickstarter and the stuff that people want to explain about each part of it and the storyline and what's going on behind the story. So if you would like to join me when you have the Kickstarter coming out, we could do a show with that. That could be fun.
Absolutely.
And if you don't have time, I also do a segment where I just pull up the ones that I'm like, you gotta buy it. Shut up and take my money, basically, you know, like, and
True.
and scroll through them myself real quick and just show off to people so that people they my sofa currently has about 3 feet worth of boxes on it all the way across. I bumped into it the other day and knocked off 20 boxes, and that was like half of it.
Right.
And yeah, and some of those were like big boxes, so I got all the little ones. I think I probably have a good like 3 dozen Gemini mailers or whatever sitting around, and it's
time to recycle them, Carrie.
Yeah, Carrie.
I'm a judgmental crow, so that's what his reference is, but the crow is judging me for doing that.
Nice. No, absolutely. Love to take you up on that offer.
Awesome.
But
we will chat when that happens. Then.
I had a question, gentlemen. Oh, Leo, what you had one?
Yeah. Well, I was just going to say before the show, we were talking about you guys don't read too much on the big two, but you do read some weird books. Now we read a lot of indie stuff on our side as well. What are you reading that you're enjoying right now?
I gotta say,
okay, right?
Oh, nice.
It's so good.
Yeah, it's really fun, and his style is just so right on. It's crazy. You know, I mean, it's like you're watching a movie while you're reading this.
Yeah.
So yeah, I hope to meet him at some point. Of course, anything this guy does, Chris.
Oh yeah.
Again, one of my favorite covers that he's done. That's
I got one too.
So yeah, anything Chris does, I try to pick up. Love that Spider-Man cover that he did. And then I read weird stuff. I like Axe Wielder John is really good.
Oh my gosh.
I don't know if you guys have seen that yet.
Nope.
I absolutely love, if you have not read David F. Walker's Bitter Root, which just started its second series. This is the big old omnibus.
Wow.
This is amazing. Amazing. The art in this, absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
So and David won a bunch of awards for Big Jim last year, which is Big Jim and the White Boy, which is Huck Finn obviously told through Big Jim's point of view. He's an amazing writer. So
nice.
That's what I mean. And I'm going through the Titan collections of all the old Conan magazines.
Really?
Nice.
Those are really beautiful collections. So that's kind of what I'm reading right now.
I just want to say, Jason, we're planning. Like Brett. I think it's Brett Bean is the guy who did Dork.
Yeah.
Dork. Sorry, phrasing is important. We're trying to see about interviewing him at Terrificon this year. So if we do get a chance to, we'll shamelessly plug you.
Okay.
You know, we'll be like,
that's what you should do. Ask Jeremy to show you some pictures, or I can send you pictures after of our booth. Our booth is a 10x10 stone castle ruins, complete with like an 8-foot tall throne that you can sit in. So I think you should come and interview Brett Bean in the castle.
I'm sorry. You, as a theater kid, I was like, I'm sorry. Setting, lighting, camera, match. Like that trail we blaze.
All right.
You can ask these three. You just gotta say, we have a castle. Are we storming the castle? Have fun storming the castle. I knew it. Sorry.
We even had Doug Jones come by.
Yes.
Hang out in the throne. I have a beautiful picture of Doug sitting in the throne.
He is the nicest person ever. Like,
he was the most gracious man I've ever met.
I didn't know him at all, but I had
that man. It's like you. There is some Sleepy Hollow fan fiction that is waiting to cast him as Ichabod Crane. That's like literally meeting him. I was like, I don't know how, but I'm like, you are the nicest scarecrow I've ever met. Like, what's
really funny is when I met him, I gave him a copy of the omnibus, and I said, listen, I said, this character the entire time, I said, I wrote this character with you in mind. I said, you have to play him. And He goes, I do. And then I said, look at him. And he goes, I go, can't you see it? And he goes, well, I don't have to be
Wow.
to see it. So yeah, absolutely. That would be in my dreamland. Doug Jones plays Jerebez.
Nice.
And what are you reading, Nick?
Right now, it's just a lot of circling back to authors I really like. Anything by Warren Ellis, I absolutely love. He did the Gravel comics, the Combat Magician, and anything by Garth Ennis.
I was just about to say, I know he loves his military comics. Like, having talked to him about it and whatnot, and read enough. We've read some of it. Yeah, that man loves, and he does such a good job, Nick. He does.
Oh yeah,
such
what
a
was
good
that?
job.
Yeah,
what was that airplane one?
Fuck right. Damn it.
So, yeah, he had the whole war series. He had the one about the Nightingales. The Night Witches, excuse me.
That was what it was. The
Night Witches.
Nightingales. It was awesome.
Yeah,
that's a story not many people knew. So I was like, yeah, I was excited to hear it.
Yeah, because
some stuff by Mark Millar and Alan Moore. Even as messed up as it is, I love his Providence. Did you ever read his Providence series?
Yes.
Just
good Lord.
It's totally messed up, but yeah.
Yes.
It's one of the few comics I keep on a high shelf, so my son doesn't get a hold of it. There it is.
I think I've talked to, I know Carrie, we've had this conversation. There are some books that you see things that sit with you, like reading that again. And I'm not the expert of Lovecraft that Carrie is. So even then I was like, okay, the ending of that first book is going to sit with me for a bit. I was like, I will never go into a swimming pool with an amphibian again, respectfully.
Did you ever read Garth Ennis's Crossed?
Yes.
Did you ever read his Crossed collection?
Yes.
Yeah. The scene. Yeah, there's so many scenes in it.
I know.
I just remember being like, we're going to close the book now, and I'm going to walk away. And I'll come back tomorrow.
I say the same thing, Nick, anytime people talk about The Boys. I'm like, that was messed up. And I'm like, I'm sorry. I've read the book. I can tell you you're wrong. I mean, yes, but you're wrong.
Yeah, every time, like the kids at school, they'll be like, "Do you watch The Boys?" I'm like, "I read all the books.
Like,
nothing you say
I could
will
tell you
surprise
things that will eliminate tenure, but
yeah. Let me describe Herogasm to you." So.
Yes, that was one of my favorite ones to see the faces. I was like, that was a Disney movie compared to the book, kids, and that was still pretty intense. But yeah, oh god, all of those are great, good stuff. No wonder you need a drink.
I don't know if you have ever read any of Warren Ellis's writing, like not his comics, but his actual books.
Yeah, I've read a few.
Electrograd is fantastic, and Normal is absolutely disturbing. I love all of his stuff, but I go back. Normal is what happens when somebody whose job is to look at the future, like try to plan for it, looks too deep, and
Shit happens.
Yeah, it's it does.
Oh, it does. I had a question for both of you. Was there a scene or two that ended up on the cutting room floor, but like essentially, let's say if there was like a like, you know how like when they have like those 20th anniversary kind of thing, like it ends up being in the mix. Like, is there something that you guys didn't get to put in, which if there was like you already done an omnibus, but if there was like a tier above, like a mega omnibus, like a maxi bus. I don't know, guys. I don't know the term for this. Okay, I'm rolling with it. Like, what what would that scene be, or what was not included? Would you like, oh yeah, we would totally put that in?
There was one scene, I don't know if you remember this one, Nick, where there was an old man that was actually on the rack being stretched. And if that wasn't bad enough, and we heard like his joints popping, like as his shoulders were dislocating and things like that. And then if that wasn't bad enough, there was a little entity that was placed on his chest that would read his mind. That was pretty intense. So that didn't make it in.
Okay. Okay. So torture.
I know there was
good.
I know there are a lot of, for me, just for myself, when I was looking at the story, I was like, there were things I wanted to put in, like obviously more military orientated to make the Zumari fiercer. And I'm like, I can't. It's like, we've got 6 panels on the page. I can't cram in 3 more just so I can show, Zoom Army forming up ranks and advancing.
Nick, it's okay. Everybody gets at least 2 Snyder cuts. You're good. Like you'll get the Monsterwood 4-hour edition.
That's right. Well, and I think that some of what Nick just talked about, we're going to be seeing more about that now anyway. Like he kind of hinted at before, where they're regrouping and coming back stronger than ever. Sometimes obviously the military is as good as its leader, and in book 4 they're going to have a much more capable leader, I think.
And then going to spin off that with the way you can present things. You're talking about the novel coming out, so you're going to be able to have a lot of that where you can. It's going to be easier. Brevity is not my thing at all. I write the longest shit ever and then I have to edit out like 3/4 of what I write. But you've written so many novels, and so the flip between like writing a novel and having that mindset to then being like, goddamn, this is the comic world. I have to make everything as concise as I possibly can and shove it into this little thing.
6 panels or less.
Yeah. Are you excited to get a chance to write it as a novel instead of like, so you can fill in things a little bit more?
Yes. Yes and no. I stopped recently, but for a few years I was writing essentially just like these little blurbs, like 400 words. I had this one character and I would just go, which was really good. It really taught me how to write concisely. And so it is fun at times trying to see how I can trim down and still get my point across. I do love putting in unnecessary detail at times too, though. Like the blade sliding in. It's like,
Nick, it's okay. I believe the great Alan Moore scripts were usually used to be described as handing somebody a phone book because of how much detail he would put in each scene, which some people, it was like, okay, wow, what? And then some people are like, okay, good, thank you. Makes it a lot easier. Like Dave Gibbons, like, this is perfect. Done.
We've kind of developed this.
I've seen some of them.
We've kind of developed a shorthand, though, wouldn't you say, Nick? Where it's like we have this version of script form that we hand Chris, and it gives Chris enough to work with, and it's not trying to micromanage him either. Because I think that the more you try to put parameters on somebody like Chris, it's like you might be shortchanging yourself in the end product because his mind can't run in the same way. You know what I mean? So it's like we make sure that he has the important parts that we don't want to, differ from. And we try to give him some room to run too, visually.
It's really simple.
And with the novel, I think we can get into a lot more of the internal and the interpersonal stuff too, because nobody wants to read 6 pages of conversation. So there's certain scenes that just didn't make it. You know what I mean? So I think that's where a lot of the character development will come in as well.
Cool.
Well, we are coming up on our hour. Are we done, guys, or do you guys want to keep asking questions?
I'm pretty much good. I don't know, Carrie, Leo.
Oh, I always have questions, but I'll save them for after the show.
Fair
Some of these have nothing to do with the book whatsoever. I'm just like, historian. Oh, do I have some things to ask you?
Deep breaths, Carrie. Calm down.
With that, Leo, ask your final question.
Yeah. So when you guys aren't working on your craft, what do you dork out about? Nick, we know you love history and stuff like that, but what's something that you use to both of you to decompress?
So, I paint a lot of miniatures and different models, but mostly it's Legos. And I will be an American and say Legos. We have a whole Lego room. I've got all the little drawers that it's all separated.
Oh wow!
So if I sit down there and I free build, I'm like, so, and I've got like soldiers with monster faces. So I'll just build a fort. And I'll let it sit there for a month, and I'll be like, I'm done. Take it all apart. So it's really soothing just to sit down there and sort.
So your title is Master Builder, Nick. Okay, got it. I've seen the Lego movie. I know how it's done.
I wish.
All right, Jason. What about you?
I sculpt a lot. I find that is like makes everything else in the world go away. Is like when I'm sculpting, and I spend a lot of time in the woods hiking. I have 2 big murder dogs that I love, so we go for a lot of walks in the woods, and I like to garden and grow a lot of food.
Nice.
So, what's your specialty in the garden?
Really anything that I can eat. So I grow a lot of greens, grow a lot of winter squash that will last from October to now even. Mostly things like that, and I have chickens and stuff like that. So the more self-sufficient I can be food-wise, it just is a very liberating feeling.
On the chickens, how on a scale of 1 to 10, how difficult is it to take care of them? My wife has been on me about getting chickens for a while, and I'm just like, I don't know the feeding, and I don't know what else goes into taking care of chickens.
Not too much, really. I mean, I'm sure Martha Stewart would pass out if she saw my. But my birds are clean and healthy. So I really, when I walk by in the morning, I make sure that I always make sure animals have water. But other than that, I feed them once a day, collect eggs once a day, and kind of clean out their bedding, make sure their bedding's clean. That's about it.
Yeah.
There's nothing like a fresh egg from the hen. Oh my God, so good.
It's not even eating like the same thing. It's like eating one of those winter tomatoes you buy in the store and then buying one from your garden, eating one from your garden.
I used to grow tons of tomatoes, but I was the only one eating them, so it became a problem. I was like,
So Jar, there are 2 words when you have this: farmer's market. Okay.
Dylan was saying about people. Dylan's saying that Tyler and Mott will go out and sing the chickens to bed at night. They go out and have a song that's "Hey little chickens," and like it's this whole thing, and then the chickens go to bed. It's cute.
We had chickens growing up, and the last batch of chickens that we had, my dad raised the flock and trained them to go into their hen house at night. He absolutely loved them. But one night he forgot to lock the door, and I let my dog out.
Are you saying that they made a chicken run?
Oh, she hunted down every single one. The field was full of them. It was.
Oh man.
Yeah. Okay. She hit a bunch of them too. Like
Leo.
She was pulling out chickens for like weeks to come. Like, where the hell did you find them?
You're laughing, but it's traumatic.
It is. Yeah. Leo, what was your nickname in school? Burying the lead? Like, good Lord. Like, you just thought, oh, this thing, and then
He got hit in the head 3 times with a backhoe. You can't hold it against him.
I don't hold it against him. It's more of a.
Morbid.
Yeah, I was like, you're an unsigned horror writer. Just like, oh yeah, this thing, and then I'm like, okay, well, all right. Well, someone give Leo a hug and some therapy, and we're moving on.
I think I'm beyond.
Oh no, buddy. There's not enough therapy in the world. At this point, we just gotta sculpt you again. We just gotta. Okay, start from fresh. Just 2% more empathy. Just 2%.
Absolutely, Dylan. Yeah, go over to the Owlite Network and look for the section where we had Leo come over and join us there for a storytelling night, and we have a bunch of Leo Pond stories of him growing up and how his father tried to kill him in so many different ways. And yeah, it's great. It was never on purpose. It was just
we had Carrie. I'm sorry, you had to give that disclaimer because I didn't know that, so I was like accidentally.
Oh yes.
All right. Unless I think we're done traumatizing our
I think
guests.
we derailed a little bit.
Yeah,
a little bit.
So
a little bit.
So,
it's the end of the show. It's bound to happen once.
Okay, so Leo, you want to sign us off?
Yeah. On that note, Jason, where do you like people following you on the socials?
Please go to Monsterwood Graphic Novel on Instagram or Skinwalker Studios on Instagram and give us a follow over there.
Are you doing any shows?
Right now, Terrificon is the only one that we have planned.
Yes, let's go.
Woo! We will see you there.
And I would love to be invited by Rhode Island.
I'll put in the word to Eric and then Steve and be like, hey,
spread the word.
Get Monsterwood there.
I think Rhode Island would really enjoy the booth, and I think they'd really enjoy
I think so too.
Awesome.
All right.
Yeah. Nick, what about you?
Cross Massachusetts on Instagram or Threads. That's about the only thing I do. And I haven't posted much lately, but you can definitely read some of my older stuff there.
Nice.
Well, on that note, I want to urge everybody, definitely check showing us up above or down below, depending on where you're watching or listening to us. So you can find a bunch of information about Jason and Nick there. And head on over to our website. We have pages for them. And the backhoe was called Christine. We called it that because
of course it was.
Of course he did.
It would lurch forward all of a sudden, and often I was like in front of it, like unloading the yeah. So Jar Jar.
Check me out on Facebook, Instagram, and other things that I can't remember. Twitch is where I hang out most of the time. If you want to come hang with me, play some video games or whatever, it'd be great. Other than that, I'm on Splash Pages every Tuesday.
Play Crimson Dawn.
I've heard. I got to check that out, actually. Yeah.
So good. So good. Carrie.
Hey, everybody. You can find me here every Tuesday, sometimes Wednesday, every now and then Saturday with Splash Pages. I'm also off on the Owlite Network at times. I have not been very active there lately. I'm sorry. I have been incredibly busy. And I just do things. If you look up Carrie Sanders on Facebook, that's where all of my main socials are because I'm too lazy to learn how to do everything else. So I just create accounts there and follow other people. If you see a judgmental crow, that is me judging you. And you will know you have gone to the right place. And yeah, that's pretty much it. And we love you too, Dylan. See you next time.
Okay. Mr. Drew.
Oh, hi, everyone. Thank you. Sorry, I blacked out for a second. As everyone said, you can find me on Tuesdays, sometimes Wednesdays, occasionally for Saturdays. Here, if you need to get in touch with me, I'm this name on Facebook. Same thing with Blue Sky, Ghostbusterman 1984 on Instagram. There's generally a lot going on. So if I don't get back to you, it's not that I don't like you. It's just I'm too burned out to care anymore. So I'll get there eventually when I'm caring again. Okay. And thank you again. If you haven't already, please hit the like and subscribe button. Follow us on our YouTube page because we got a lot going on, especially since we're about to start a new month, which is crazy because I could have sworn just yesterday it was January. Oh God, I'm losing it. Check us out next week on Wednesday, when we have the great John Suntress from Word Balloon is going to be joining us. It's going to be so chatty. You're definitely going to have to pause it and listen to it in slow motion.
Okay, with that, we'll catch you later.
Bye everybody.